President, we are late. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to find a seat.
Gather around, folks. We'll be starting the formal meeting.
Meeting's going to the dogs.
Frank, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
You've met Rob, I'm sure.
All persons having business before this August body drawn near you will be heard. The Honorable Stephen Johnson presiding. All rise. All set. Mr. President, the floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and it's exciting to see. I think I got a count. We have about 24 or 25 fully electric vehicles here tonight. And we're trying something new with this, and I think we may do it again if the University Village lets us. They just said, please clean up after yourself, and they've been very gracious hosts, so let's make sure we clean up stuff, even if it wasn't left by us. If we can all pick up a little and leave it better than when we got here, that would be great. We're going to start off the meeting by having a featured EV of the month, and this month it is a converted EV, a very unique one, converted by a former SEVA member, John McGowan. And with that, I will let Jay take it away.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Yes, this is the 99 Dodge Dakota conversion by Dr. John McGowan, done in 2010 when he's a retired podiatrist from Lakewood, who's an extremely active member of the Tacoma EV Association. I pitched in some on this project back in the day. It was originally built with a dozen Valence U-Charge Group 27 lithium iron phosphate batteries, plus a 13th one as the, no, I'm sorry, it was 13. It was a 156 volt system. And he then upgraded it to a single salvage Nissan Leaf battery pack, first gen. There's only 50 modules, so it's not intended to be a long range car. It's just an old man's grocery getter, he liked to call it. He took it to car shows and innovated a lot of stuff. You can see the bed lift is an electric actuator with the mechanism he designed in CAD, and then he cut it in plywood and tested it, and then cut it in better plywood and wrapped them in carbon fiber wrap. It's very nice. It needs a little 2-finger boost just to get started the first couple of inches, and then it takes over fine. It's an advanced DC 9-inch motor, Zilla 1K controller, Beltronics. Who had Beltronics components? Just a guy with a bench who built them for at least 2 decades, really good quality stuff, never did any marketing. When I've resurrected it after winter storage last weekend, replaced the lead for the last time on the 12 volt side, hopefully just use some salvage lithium iron phosphate cells to make a 60 amp hour 12 volt battery in half the space that the 33 amp hour lead acid battery took up, with less weight. Other innovative features beyond the bed lift, it's all analog gauges because he liked it that way. I need to get a connection for the Orion BMS so that there's some real data being displayed instead of this tiny little 1 7/8 inch Westberg gauge as the only indication of how close I am to the shutoff point voltage-wise, because the scale from 72 to 180 volts is less than an inch. Yeah. Any questions about it?
And feel free to stand up and look around it if you want, if you haven't done so already.
The battery boxes were built twice in the back before he was satisfied with it. One improvement, the reason the paint's so good is that it was a show lowrider back in the day. And if you look at the leaf springs on the back axle, you'll see little curlicues on the back end of the springs from where they were torched and bent. And I've brought the front back to right height, and I've got replacement springs to put on the rear and bring it back right. But that's the last vestige of its days as a lowrider. Yes, Grace?
Tell us about the transmission, Dave.
It's a manual transmission with a clutch. It's great. You can,
What's that?
I showed my wife, you can put it in third gear and just drive it around in the sedate manner to which she's accustomed, or I can put it in first. And I can't do burnouts with it right now because you'll see a little ring of abraded steel on the driveline, because that's one effect of the lowering is the flex of the frame. When you put really high torque on it, it actually rubs the driveline on the frame slightly. So only when I get my new springs put in will I really be able to hot rod it. But of course, Dr. John had never noticed that because he never put the pedal to the metal. Being a podiatrist, he took real good care of his feet. But stay in contact with your older SEVA members. Never know when they might just decide that they've had enough and gift you a really cool vehicle. Amen.
What are you using it for, Jay?
Just pleasure driving, at least that's what Haggerty thinks. Somehow they never question that I have 6 Haggerty vehicles in my garage, my 3-car garage. Yes.
How many EVs do you still have?
I have 3 drivable IMEVs and 3 parts cars. The white one there, my daughter has up here at UW right now. That's Ms. Q. You may remember when I picked it up last summer, it had belonged to the last living cast member of Bing Crosby's White Christmas. Annie had played the granddaughter of Bing Crosby in that movie, and then she worked at Department of Ecology and drove that for over a decade. Yeah. And for those of you who may have been fence sitters, always want to do a conversion, don't quite want to bite off the chunk, there's a lot of these out there. There's conversions that need a little, some of them need very little work, but you know, the owner's been driving the Tesla or the Bolt for the past decade, and the conversion's taking up too much space in the garage. If you want to build an EV, start with an EV that's already been built. Learn all the tricks of the trade, and then decide if you really want to do a conversion. And there was a gentleman here who had spoken about doing a first-gen RX-7 conversion a few months back. I've been looking for him because I need to find a new home for my 1983 Mazda RX-7 conversion.
You mean David Cagger's granddaughter?
David who?
And what David Cagger in White Christmas? Bing Crosby was a bachelor in White Christmas.
I'm sorry. Thank you for fixing that. Our resident theater trivia expert. All right. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, Jay. And fun fact, I don't know, Jay, if you know this, but John bought that leaf pack from me. So the last time I saw it, he had come up to my place. We took it, he's like, I don't need the case of the leaf battery, I just need the batteries inside. So we took it all apart at my place and loaded them into his Tesla Model S, and then this is the next time I've seen it.
And if you take a close look at the battery pack, you'll see, just like Nissan, they're hermetically sealed, no air in, no air out. But he even put these vinyl covers over the bus bars with a tiny little hole drilled for your voltage probe, so you can manually test it. Very, very safe.
Well, we'll have some more news to share later, but I want to take it or put it over to our featured speaker of the month, which is Sid from AUTEV. And Sid, if you want to come up and do your presentation, tell us about everything that AUTEV is.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for allowing me to present to you today. It's a pleasure to be here with so many young whippersnappers in the EV industry. So my name is Sid. I'm a co-founder of Autev. I'm very excited to introduce you to our company and how we're working to make EV charging more accessible. Rob, would you mind? Yep. So a little bit about Autev. We're a startup at UW, and we're building autonomous EV charging robots that can turn any parking space into a charging space. Our mission is to increase EV adoption by making EV charging more accessible and convenient for the user. Go ahead. So just our founding team, we met during the Masters of Entrepreneurship program for the Foster School. And we bring a little bit of different experiences to the project. Our CTO is an engineer at SpaceX, and our CEO has worked on some startups before. We're also based at UW CoMotion Labs, which is a hardware incubator, where we've been building and testing Autev from the ground up. So a little bit about the problem. So like you, we're EV owners, EV drivers, and we've experienced firsthand the challenges and shortcomings of the current EV charging infrastructure. I'm sure you're familiar, there's not enough chargers, they're not always where you need them. Nowadays there's increased wait times, quite frustrating. And these gaps are slowing down EV adoption. Most people we speak to about why they wouldn't buy an EV usually talk about charging as a major problem. Low battery anxiety, that type of thing, inconvenience, and our goal is to help overcome this problem. So that's why we're building an autonomous EV charging robot. It has a base station and lives on site, navigates to parked EVs and charges them, without drivers having to move their car, find an open charger, or even be present. It's like calling a charger to your spot. Rob, if you don't mind playing the video. So we just have a little graphic representation of the function of the robot. I think we might have to just switch the screen here. Just if you go to the movie application there.
Why doesn't that show? What is
Perhaps, let's see. I think we can just escape and then
There we go.
we'll just let this play. Oh, that's very... I guess we'll have to come back to the video, perhaps. Okay, we'll come back to it. We'll come back to the video. Okay, so if you don't mind, let's just go to the next slide, please. I think you can hit F5. Perhaps on the top left there. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so progress so far. So we've made some great progress building and testing our early prototypes and gauging consumer interest. We presented at the Detroit Auto Show and the Seattle Auto Show, as well as CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. And we also won the Innovation Challenge at the Energy Authority Symposium last year. And we're on track to launch demos for our Mark II prototype later this year at locations including the Tesla showroom here at U Village. So let's go ahead to the next slide. All right, so I guess let me just walk you through how ATEV works. We'll go over the video again when it comes up. But first, the user simply summons the robot through their web page or the ATEV app. No complicated setup, just a few taps on your phone. The robot then navigates autonomously to your EV using onboard sensors, allowing it to find and reach your vehicle safely in any parked environment. Once it arrives, the robotic arm plugs into the vehicle's charge port and begins charging with no human interference needed. And the user gets notified on their phone and can track charging progress in real time. When the charging is complete, the robot unplugs and moves to the next request. And this enables continuous unattended charging through the day or night. The system is just designed to make EV charging more convenient, but completely autonomous and seamless for the user. So benefits for consumers. So for EV owners, this means convenience. For EV owners in apartments, for example, you wouldn't have to hunt for a charging space. Our robot will find your car and charge it overnight. Or for office workers, after a long day of work, you won't have to spend time out of your day going to the charger at peak periods, and it'll just make it a lot more convenient. Next slide, please. So and then benefits for property owners and businesses. So I'm sure as you can conceive for commercial properties and businesses, ATEV would be a scalable, plug-and-play, cost-effective solution. There's no need to rip up the pavement or install fixed infrastructure. Our robot allows you to offer EV charging across all your parking spots, boosting convenience and sustainability without any heavy upfront costs. Well, fantastic. Okay, so as members of the EV community, your insight and support are incredibly valuable to us. We're looking for early supporters and partners, whether it's offering feedback, donations, or investment, connecting us to decision makers, or helping us test in your neighborhood or building. Your involvement could help us shape the future of EV charging in Seattle. So thank you very much for your time. You can visit our site or reach out directly to us. We'd love your feedback and to keep the conversation going with a visit to our lab at UW. Thank you very much. Yeah, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at the end of the meeting, and we can get together.
Take some questions
Okay.
right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the first, what kind of kilowatt hours does the little robot have? In other words, can you do one car and then go back and charge, or two cars and then go back and charge, or three cars and go back and charge?
Yeah,
And the battery that charges the cars, it also feeds the mechanism itself to go from place to place?
Those are great questions. Yeah, so the robot we're working on right now, it has a 10 kilowatt hour battery. And this is obviously subject to change. We can increase the size of the battery depending on the size of the robot. We are currently working with a 10 kilowatt hours, and there's a different set of batteries that power the motion in the arm versus the payload battery, which charges the EV. Any other questions? That gentleman in the back, you had a question, sir?
I was basically the same question.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to know about how it's going to go from place to place. Is it going down city streets in order to get to different parking lots, and how legal is that?
So the question is whether it would go on city streets. Our device is restricted to parking facilities, so it's not going to be on the street. It will be confined to the parameters of the parking lot.
And so it has a place to plug in there.
Actually, yeah, there's a base station, correct. Much like a really big Roomba.
I think we can run the video.
Okay, fantastic. Let's play the video. It's going to be somewhere towards the first third, end of the first third. Yeah, it should be right. It should be right after this, right here.
Is there audio?
No, it's just some music, so it's fine. So this kind of shows you like a parking facility, the robot here navigating to the car. So we've kept the size relatively small for maneuverability, but this can be changed. So we do have a 6-axis robotic arm with a NACS charger at the end that's able to plug in to the EV. All right. Any further questions?
Is it intended to, in real life, be behind the vehicle?
Yes, correct. So much like a shopping cart behind the vehicle, there's certain sensors and positions that the robot will put itself in, so it can progress with poses. So it reaches a first pose, which activates the second pose, which will then extend the arm so it can plug itself in. And we've kept it behind the vehicle to make it easy for cars on the either side to navigate. And also the shopping cart profile is something people are familiar with. They're unloading groceries and things like that. Yes, go ahead.
You're going to pick something a little more noticeable than flowers.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have some lights, we have some other, there's actually screens on the side of the robots, so that way they can communicate the direction it's traveling and have a little bit more interaction with the users. Yes, go ahead.
Can you back in your car into a parking spot and still have it charging or no?
No, it will. There will be specific instructions when you make the reservation that will tell you how to park your car, and you can enter in the information like your license plate, make and model, and things like that. Please.
For those of us who have charge ports that lock, how are you accessing the charge port?
Yeah, absolutely. So the end effector has a little knob that pushes the port to open it, and then it plugs itself in. Yes, in the back there.
In your design, you said right currently you're working with 10 kilowatts, so how scalable do you foresee this being?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in terms of scale, that was a question, how big the battery can get. Obviously, the technology is evolving. This robot's pretty much a box on wheels, and whatever we can fit into that box would be the battery. So as the technology improves, I mean, we're discussing different chemistries of battery. The main concern is how many cycles we can get out of it, because we can get something really efficient but has less cycles, but we can get something a little bit, different but with more cycles. So those are considerations, and also this is subject to change as the technology changes as well. Yes, go ahead.
What's your top charging speed?
So currently, this device charges at 20 kilowatts. And this can obviously be improved as we improve the technology, but that's what it currently does. So it can deliver about 50 miles in about a half an hour to an EV right now. And this is just a second prototype that we've been working on. Yes, go ahead, Rob.
2 questions. First, curious about what you're hearing from property owners. Do they envision that you'll service their entire facility, or do they want to limit it to a certain area? And then the other thing is, how many robots per X number of parking spaces are required for the coverage?
Correct. Yeah, those are great questions. Currently, we're doing our demo sets at 2 robots and a base station, and we're gathering data on how many you can do in an 8-hour period, for example. It's roughly around 6.5, I think, currently. So that's how many charges it provides with the current recharging, but we're improving those amounts and improving those times as well. But we're doing a 2-robot demo per location for now. And I'm sorry, you had a second question?
curious whether the facility owners are intend to service the entire facility, or do they want to create charging zones for it?
That's a great question. So we currently we've been talking to some clients. We've talked to SeaTac Airport, and they have a level 4, for example, which is premium vehicles. They also have a level 1, which is for airport vehicles, like stuff they use on the tarmac. So it can be very much limited to a specific floor. So like if a facility owner wants to only service a certain floor, or maybe even certain license plate numbers, that would be possible for the robot to do.
Okay, Eli, third question. What's the commercial model?
What's the commercial
model?
Could you be a little more just for the question?
So on the consumer side, how is that set up? Is there a membership fee? Are you paying per the kilowatt hour? And then on the building owner's side, what setup costs? Do they have recurring costs? Is there a revenue share?
Yeah, these to offset the costs. So we're ideally trying to offer this for free to facilities if we can get a deal worked out with utilities. That way they have control over the battery in the base station, but they'd be able to call on that energy's resources during peak periods as a virtual power plant in what's called peak shaving. Yes, go ahead.
I'm sure you know most parking lots are underground cement bunkers, and it's been my experience that most apps for parking and things like that are totally useless. So is this app going to be talking directly to the base station, or does it have to go up into the cloud?
This is a great question. We'll have to evaluate this based on the location, but we should have some kind of repeaters or something for the Wi-Fi, but we're trying to make that as simple as possible, so that's something we'll have to consider, yeah. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Building on that, charge cancellation, especially if you're down in a concrete bunker, and I can imagine like having to leave really quickly, going in, normally just unplug your car and go. You've got to wait for a robot to get out of your way. You guys kind of consider the implications of that, or how that would work?
Yeah, this is a great question. This will come down to the navigation of the robot. So we're working with virtual environments right now to do these types of tests. So we're uploading the environment of a busy parking lot and the kinds of behaviors cars would have, and what our device should be doing corresponding to that. So this is something we're still testing, but that is something we'd have to consider. And also, just to make things a bit easier, when you make the reservation, your app or your web page will give you up-to-date information on this overall charge status, so that way you can make a decision on whether you want to end the charging on your way to the car, or you'll be up to date as to what's going on in terms of charge status. Great questions, everybody. Thank you so much. Anything else? Fantastic. Yeah, go ahead.
Sounds really logical. It sounds like it's the next step.
Well, we appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much. We do have some competitors as well, so we kind of know we're on the right track. Our idea stemmed from something else altogether entirely, so we're still developing the product. So we appreciate your feedback. Anything else we can always talk in the end. And if you want to visit the lab, let me know, and we'll get that set up. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, Sid.
Thank you,
in
Rob.
other news
Thank you so much.
now, SEVA was asked, and we had 48 hours, or in less than 48 hours to respond by a local law firm. If we wanted to sign on in what's called like an amicus brief to basically, there's been a lawsuit that I think Lucid put on because, as you may or may not know, in Washington State many years ago, when only Tesla and commuter cars over in Spokane was making the Tango, were like the only two electric vehicle companies selling cars at the time in Washington. The dealers, automotive dealers, didn't like how both Tesla and Tango were getting around having dealers because neither of them had dealers. They just sold direct. And so they succeeded in getting a law passed, basically, that grandfathered in Tesla and commuter cars and excluded any other vehicles from being able to be sold in the state without a dealer. And so that's why you can't easily test drive a Rivian or a Lucid, and it's pretty disappointing. So normally on some of these things I might like to consult with the membership at large, but we had a very limited window of time, and so the SEVA board talked it all over and said, well, who wouldn't be in support of supporting this? And it doesn't cost us anything or really put SEVA at risk. We're not party to the lawsuit or anything, but we just filed a brief with this attorney and along with 2 other consumer advocacy organizations, basically saying, hey, we support this, and because it's now going to appeals, because unfortunately they lost the suit initially, and so it's going on to appeals, and so we sent this letter then to the judge to consider, like, hey, we really think you should consider how unfair this is, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted to make people aware of that, see if anybody had heard of that or had any other opinions on it, but basically wanted to tell you that's something that SEVA has been up to, and we'll let you know if and when we hear anything more about it, hopefully something good in the future, because I thought for a long time what a lame situation that is, seeing Rivians at car shows and different stuff, and they can't even give people test drives, or they have to have owners show up who can just happen to let other people ride in their cars or stuff. It's kind of a goofy thing. So that's one of the news items. And then before this meeting, the SEVA board met for a little board meeting to discuss sort of the future of SEVA, and we're going to keep thinking about that. But we all really like the idea of the car show, like especially now in the summer, and we're looking for new spaces and thinking where do we want to hold the meetings, and each of us has come up with a few alternatives and looked around at them, and we're trying this out. I wanted to see also a show of hands who likes the idea of having them in the garage, at least in the summertime. All right, well, that's a lot of people, and I'm super enthused to see how many EVs we've got here tonight of all different types. Super awesome to see that. So yeah, I think as long as the University Village approved us for this specific date, so I'll talk with them again, and hopefully they will let us have it here again, and I think that will be the plan, at least for the next few months going forward now. We'll try and have it up here in the same place. While we're on this topic, does anybody have any suggestions or ideas for what could make it better? Like, since this is the first time we're doing it, I just realized I should probably bring a step ladder next time and a black garbage sack or something to tape over that light. Yes, sir.
Throw a couple ropes over that pipe there and have a screen hang there.
Yeah, we could see about either purchasing a screen or how a white sheet might work or something, and yeah, hang it down from the pipe. That could be an idea. The only thing I'd worry about would be the wind, but maybe we could weight it down or tie it to something too. Ryan?
I love the outdoor format with the cars. What could make it better though is if there was like foot traffic, right? So like a location that has, but we also have the time, right? So like a location that is, this is excellent, covered, some wind protection and stuff, that is also nearby an open area that you can on the fly pick between the two. Excellent.
100% agree. All of the board liked that too. So some ideas that we've had, if the U Village is amenable to it, then would be putting up signage, like some breadboard signs downstairs and stuff. Hey, EV meeting up on level D. And then maybe, depending on the success of it, also if any of you write to U Village or something, hey, I went to this cool meeting or something and I stopped at the Shake Shack, or like the more we can patronize their businesses too, they'll appreciate it. And if we can draw bigger crowds, they should really enjoy having us here. There's some other cars and coffee type events that I've seen around like the Redmond Exotics over at Redmond Town Center, where they have much of the whole parking lot on Saturdays in the summer. And so it's also possible, if we are good stewards of our location here and getting more and more people and stuff, that they might let us be down on a lower level and we could block it off ahead of time. Yep.
On that subject, is it suggesting maybe have some sandwich signs or something at the bottom of the parking garage saying, come up to, floor D and see what meeting.
Yep, that's exactly what we were thinking, yeah. And I guess then with the people here too, show of hands, who would be interested in, or who would be in support of, if they allow us to have sandwich signs, of putting maybe a few $100 or whatever it takes out of the CEVA budget to pay for said signs. Okay, that looks like a majority. All right. Any other ideas for how we can improve this meeting location or other parking lots or places too that we could try? Nope. Okay. Yes, Grace.
Food truck or a coffee van.
Yes.
You can.
That's true. Yeah, and or maybe at least one time in the year, like in a good warm summer month or something too, we could bring our own food, have a potluck or something, and we could power. The Lightning has 240 volts, and so does the Cybertruck. We got a few Cybertrucks, a Lightning. Now we got a GMC Denali. I saw. Does it have a
I think so.
outlets in the bed?
I'm pretty sure they do, yeah.
Awesome.
I don't know the
So
specs on
between
them.
a lot of the trucks with the gigantic high kilowatt hour battery packs, we could probably power some inductive cooktops even and not have to use propane or anything. That could be good. Yeah, heaters. I know. Luckily, we're coming into the good part of the year where it should get warmer, and but yeah. All right. Well, with other news of the community, Grace has just a few things to say about legislative issues going on relating to EVs.
Oh.
Or if you clip that to your lapel, then you'll go to his recording.
Yeah, I'm just going to hold it. I'm missing an arm here. So. I've been trying to track what's going on in Olympia. There's only a couple more weeks in the session this year. It's all about the budget right now, and they're really short of money, and so they want more money. And basically they're saying, well, we're going to end the sales tax credit for EVs, which wasn't very much. It's only, what's $1,700 now, not very much. But the partial credit is probably going to go away, and then also proposing an extra $50 on your annual registration fee, which will take it up to $275 a year. There's still time to make comments about that if you think that we're already paying too much. The proposal to try to do a road usage charge for those of you who don't drive very much, it would be a huge benefit. That again did not go anywhere this year, so it's dying. But at least the proposal to prevent Tesla from being able to sell cars direct in Washington, that did not go anywhere, as well as the proposal to allow manufacturers to sell direct did not go anywhere. So we're basically back to where we've been before, except for they want us to fork up more money at this point. So that's about all we got going on. The one good thing is that the good piece of legislation about setting up a statewide committee to try to figure out what to do about vandalizing charging stations. That is still going forward, and hopefully we can get it through. We're going to need one last push to get it through. Don't know if it'll result in anything, but at least it's recognizing that there is a huge problem here and trying to get something done about it. So we can still make a difference on that one. Any questions? Yeah, that's about it. Wish it was better news, but the important thing is that we are still keeping active here in Washington. We're still leaders here because at the national level, we're not getting leadership on EVs. So we're going to need to keep things going here at the local level. Yes, Billy?
Yeah. Since the RUC does affect state revenue, could it still be brought back at the last minute?
It could. Yes, that's correct. It's probably not going to happen because it was not in the proposed transportation budget, but it's possible somebody could revive it. But at this point, because it would require such a huge additional bureaucracy, and it would not start out with bringing in very much money, because it would start out with just the EVs, not all the other cars, and it would be voluntary. So it's probably going to cost more than it would bring in at this point. So I doubt they're going to do it. Thanks for asking, though.
Yeah, I was kind of recalling when they first came out with the EV fee. That was also that was on the 11th hour. I think it was like sort of like 59th minute of the 11th hour. It was going to fail that session, and it was revived really on like the last day. And
it could still happen. You're right. Yeah. As far as we know, it's dead for the year. But somebody could bring it up. Yes, Dave.
Did the EBA sign on for that amicus brief?
Not that I could see. No, the other, and maybe because it was not a Washington. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
Same with Plug in America didn't either. I don't know how they heard about us to reach out to us, but I'm glad that they did. And like I say, we had less than 48 hours to agree to sign on and figure this out, and so we did. Right offhand, I'm forgetting what the other two organizations were, but the EAA was not one of them.
Yeah, and that's because they are a national organization, and we're just looking at suing in Washington. So at least Lucid is. Yeah. So anybody else who wants to weigh in on that? It's at appeals court now. Right?
Yes.
Good. Cool. You minutes?
We can put it, I'll make sure to get it to Eric for the meeting minutes. It was Christensen. Do you remember, Jay, what the law firm was? It was Christensen and somebody. I believe.
Is it O'Connor Kindness?
I don't know. It wasn't Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. I know that. It was a more reputable firm.
But the one good thing that has happened the past few months is last December, Department of Licensing agreed to allow manufacturers to do test drives as part of their education. So yes, Rivian and Lucid are doing test drives now. In fact, at this weekend, if anybody wants to come out to the zoo on Saturday, we're going to have a few cars there. Mark's bringing his new Denali. I'm sure that will get a lot of folks interested. And then, so Rivian is going to be providing test drives there, as a matter of fact, and several dealers are bringing cars to do test drives there. We'll be right near the west entrance, so hopefully a lot of people coming in through there, and we're going to have a row of cars parked, and we're going to have a booth, and we're going to be able to talk to people about the advantages of electric cars. I'm excited. If you guys want to come, please do. Okay.
Perfect, and that's a perfect segue into our next thing. Yeah, thanks, Grace, for all you do, keeping us apprised of everything going on with legislative issues affecting electric vehicles. The next news item, is other upcoming car shows. Next week, on Wednesday, April 16, is our annual Bellevue College EV show at the Bellevue College campus. And I know a number of you have signed up. If you haven't signed up, feel free to show up anyway, but we would appreciate if you sign up so we can get an idea of how many cars are coming. We already got a few conversions, and it's a really great show because it happens right in the middle of campus. And so there's hundreds of students and faculty walking through. We will be this year in our old original location, which is right in front of the Student Union building and below a big solar array. And there's a 1450 outlet. So Larry Ryan, who's bringing his S10 conversion, has dibs on it because I think he may actually need it to get back home. But I'll also be bringing my Lightning, and we'll have extra kilowatt hours if anybody else needs to charge, or if you have a unique electric conversion or something with a smaller battery pack that can come and would need to charge, we can make sure that we can get you charged there. There's also fast chargers nearby on campus that you could use afterwards. And the timing of it will be meet in the usual little B2 lot at 9:45 a.m. And then the show will end about 1:30 p.m. And if you have any questions, you can come up to me afterwards, or just Google Bellevue College Show DEEM for Drive Electric Earth Month, because it's got its own web page through the Plug in America Drive Electric Earth Month stuff, and you can see all the details and the actual address for the lot and time and stuff there. Yes, Grace?
I'm going to come up and join you again, because if you haven't been on the Drive Electric Earth Month website yet, there are several other events going on. The Energy Block Party at Snow PUD is on April 26th, 10 to 2. Everett Community College is doing an Earth Week event on April 22nd, 10 to 2.
Which I think is a new one.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, we should go check that out.
The Oregon Electric Vehicle Association, they're doing their event on April 27th in Portland. Then the Reach Museum over in Richland, they always do something every year. They're doing it on the 19th this year. So that's a week from Saturday, and that is 12 to 4 over in Richland. And that's all of the ones that are close by. But still, there's stuff going on.
Yeah, excellent point. I saw the Snohomish PUD one had quite a number of cars coming to it already. I think we should get as many as we can to the Everett Community College one too, especially since this is its first year. And I think the college ones are great too, because you get young people. And I sometimes purposely have also, and I think I might trailer it there with the Lightning, in fact, an old Leaf, because I had that at the Bellevue show a few years ago with a sign like, you can buy this for $5,000. Well, now you can buy it for way less than that even. And a Leaf, or even the Bolts, I mean, everything is coming. Kia Soul EVs are coming down so much in price now that a college student, it could be a very good first car. I've seen Leafs for $1,000 and stuff, and yeah, maybe it only has 30-mile range, but that could be enough for putting to campus and back. So yeah, check out the whole Drive Electric Earth Month webpage. You can put in your zip code and see the list that Grace was talking about. Yes, sir. I'm not sure. I just did recently on the weekend send it to you. I'm not sure if Raleigh has gotten any of that. No. So not yet. We should definitely put them on the SEVA calendar. If we have a volunteer who, Ryan maybe can help us with that. But yeah, we should get it on the SEVA calendar as well, or at least have links to Drive Electric Earth Month. For those that don't know, the Drive Electric Earth Month is a thing put on by Plug in America and other big sponsors in the month of April. And then we have another one around September time, National Drive Electric Week. And so there'll be more shows coming up then. Some other news items then. Myself and Charlie and some other SEVA members over at different times have done work with MLE race cars. I've been doing a lot of work with Ford recently, and they're up in Lake City. But also they have just, in the last few days, put up a whole bunch of different things for sale. There's a lot of surplus stuff, in particular, and they're blowing it out at really cheap prices for what it is. Like a bunch of Enerdell batteries, which are very high power. Of course, you'd have to build your own battery pack from these. These are the raw cells, but a bunch of them are brand new. OEM Ford lithium battery modules from a Mach-E that are unused. There's a whole bunch of them available. I think maybe 3 packs worth, so a lot. Tons of contactors at much, much cheaper prices than what they are new, including this gigantic one, which is this guy over here that weighs, it's a very hefty contactor if you were building an electric race car. Otherwise nobody would need them. Your Tesla Model S's and X's use these Gigavac ones exactly like this actually, and most electric cars have a much smaller contactor, but there's some pretty monster ones from various racing projects as surplus. And then thermal foam, so if you are building your own battery pack, how do you cool the cells? And this foam is electrically insulative but thermally conductive. So you can make chill plates or stuff that then wick the heat away from the cells. Coolant pumps, including these, and oh man, I didn't even see how cheap they're selling that one for. This is like a $500, the biggest coolant pump you've ever seen. They use them in like the Ford GT supercar and stuff for intercoolers, and in the Cadillac CTS-V and some big supercharged cars, and also buses. But it makes a great cooling pump for electric vehicle cooling stuff. Cables, they have, so I know the story behind some of this cable is it's aluminum cable. So unless you've taken apart one of the newer Teslas and seen the charge port, they are actually using aluminum on Tesla's charge ports. But otherwise, you probably never picked up cable this light. It is crazy. And so they have spools of it because it was custom made for Ford, but we only needed a certain amount for what is being used. But the company building the cable is like, well, we're going to tool up to make this custom aluminum cable. Like, you have to buy this much of it. So basically, they had to buy that much of it. So there's a whole bunch of surplus left that they're just blowing out, spools of it. Motors and Reinhardt Motion Systems controllers. These are extremely small axial motors. The motor is only about, I'd say, 6 or 7 inches wide. Very small, very high power, along with the Reinhardt motor controllers.
What's the horsepower?
I think. And what are they 150s? I forget the controllers. Okay, so 150 kilowatts, like continuous, but the peak is, I forget for a 150 what it is, but it's the racing version of the Reinhardt PM150, and they're made in Oregon. It should say, that's the other happy thing is the prices are listed on the website, and so if you go to
5,000 for the combo. That's the motor and the controller, and they've been paired.
Yeah, which the controller alone, if you bought it brand new, would be about at least 5,000. So yeah, other good deals on everything. And yeah, the website is mleracecars.com, and you can see the prices and everything that they have in stock, and they'll be adding more things as time goes by. Shunts for measuring current that communicate over CAN bus, and other various miscellaneous stuff. So the other used electric vehicle stuff we actually have here tonight. And Dave Barden, would you like to come up and tell a little bit of people what you've got? Because Dave brought a bunch of his stuff to sell or even give away, depending on what it is. And so you'll want to see Dave afterwards at his little SIVA garage sale here.
Yeah, no offer will be refused. I've got wire, cable. I think there's one Curtis controller that's questionable. It's probably not any good. There's some 12-volt battery chargers. There's the 24-volt battery charger. Yeah, like I said, see anything you need, don't hesitate to make a ridiculous offer. I'll probably take it.
Thanks, Dave. And tonight we have the pleasure of having all 3 of the SIVA presidents happen to be here in one place. So we've got Jay and myself and Steve Lowe, who really sets SIVA off for how many years are you president?
32.
Round of applause for Mr. Lowe. And he has a few words to say from some things he brought.
Yeah, my wife is Donna, the artist. If you have a favorite dog you want a picture of, above your furnace, above your fireplace, call me. So these are some ancient, and you can tell by the language that is used. But 20 years ago, this was pretty funny stuff, and I've got 5 of them if you want a copy of them. It says 10 reasons to own and drive an electric car. Number 1, you can blow off a V8 from the line with the torque of Zeus. You can put the motor anywhere, so you can put your stereo subwoofer anywhere under the hood. It's fun to watch the emissions guy looking for your tailpipe. You can get out of the of a speeding ticket by saying, well, mister, this is an electric car. There's no way it can do 100 miles an hour. It's fun watching a thief trying to hotwire an electric car. You steal power from McDonald's. I don't know about that. Now, I stole power from a gas station once when I started this thing in 1980. The cars we were driving were Renaults made in Massachusetts with about 1,000 pounds of lead-acid batteries. And 20 miles of range was a dangerous trip. Unplugged the Pepsi, plugged in the Electric Leopard. Electric Leopard, that is really ancient. So you can steal power from a gas station. It's fun to ask the service station dude to check your oil. Yeah. When jump-starting a gas-powered car, it's fun to watch the owner's face when you connect it to jumper cables to your 156 DC power supply in your car. Of course, as we all know, many of the power supplies are up to 800 now. So that would really be a show. If you're liberal, you're walking tall. If you're conservative, the liberals will like you. I don't get that, really, but I mean, anyway, there's some humor from the early 80s and 90s. So if anybody wants a copy.
Thank you, Steve. And we have our own website, www.seattleeva.org, and we also have an email list in the Google group, which you can link to there. So if you want to keep apprised of future events and announcements and stuff, make sure to go and get signed up for that. Also, at this time, I see a few new faces out there tonight, and so if you are here at the meeting for the first time, I would like to go around and have you introduce yourself, tell us your name, where you're from, and if you have an EV, or what brought you to the meeting. In the back, I see, she's looking away. You, ma'am. Yes. You can do it from there, or you can come up here, either way.
Hello, everybody. I know I'm on the younger side, probably, in this crowd. It's wonderful to be here. Wonderful to see so many people who are enthusiastic about, electric vehicles, especially right now in a time where sustainability is a huge thing. I'm from the University of Washington. I'm an undergrad studying business. I am here with another teammate of mine. We're working on a project to develop an electric trailer. Yes, we have contacted and spoken with a few, with Stephen and I think a few other people. And so we're here kind of just getting insight, wanting to learn. I'm initially from the Bay Area, so Silicon Valley was like right in my backyard. And so I grew up around a lot of people, wanting to do tech and sustainability work. And, and California is very big on sustainability and, becoming greener. So this is, we've talked to a lot of amazing people already who have given us some great insight. And so, we're excited to learn some more from you guys, and, hopefully we'll come to next month's meeting as well.
Awesome. And do you drive an electric vehicle yet?
I have a hybrid.
Okay, halfway there.
What's your name? To introduce yourself. What's your name?
Oh, my name. Oh, I thought I said my name. I'm sorry. My name's Julissa. I drive a hybrid Toyota RAV4. I love my RAV4. My family's not too convinced on full electric yet, but we're slowly getting there. Slowly but surely.
Plug-in hybrid or just a gas?
Plug-in hybrid.
Okay. That's the best kind of hybrid. If you're gonna have a hybrid, it's gotta have a plug, I always say. Any other new faces? Yes, sir. All right.
Hi, my name is Brian, and I'm fairly new to the EV world, but I've kind of made a lot of made a lot of dents in some of the tech that I've met Stephen at a mutual friend's garage working on a Tesla battery. About 2 years ago, I bought a Tesla Model S, and it was amazing, and it was great, and I love free supercharging. And then about 6 months later, the battery died, which is a pretty common story. And since I wasn't going to pay Elon 15 grand for a used battery that just failed in someone else's car, I decided to teach myself how to fix it, which nobody was talking about 2 years ago. And so I fixed it. It turned out it was a B&B board on one of the modules, and I took a bunch of pictures and made a website to teach other people how to do that. So so that's available if anybody has a Tesla and needs to work on a battery. It's really pretty simple to work on. And then, of course, the other big problem with the Tesla Model S is the large drive unit that leaks coolant from the rotor seal and soaks up in the stator and blows out the inverter, and basically glycol and electricity don't mix real well.
And it's not a matter of if, but when, basically.
And it's a matter of when. And so if anybody is using a Tesla large drive unit in any conversions, or they have a Model S with one, the coolant delete is a really important thing to do. Tesla does it themselves with their latest revision of the LDU, but I invented a little tiny stainless steel cap. It's about this big. It's about exactly the same size as the seal that goes into the rotor, so my cap just presses in where that seal did, and instead of coolant inside your rotor, you get a perfect bypass of the rotor coolant, keeping all the other functions of the LDU just like Revision U does from Tesla. And so there's several thousand of those installed all over the world now. I've shipped to basically every continent that has cars. There's lots of shops all over the place that are installing them, and that's kind of a cool thing. So I like to do what I can. There's nothing sustainable about an electric vehicle if you dispose of them every 3 or 4 years and buy a new one. So these cars have to be viable for the second and third owner into 10, 15, 20 plus years, and being able to fix your own battery and making sure these drive units stay on the road without needing to be replaced is a really big component of that. So if anyone wants to talk about Teslas, I love doing that. I also love conversions. My uncle, who I'll ask you if you ran into him in the 80s, had a patent for an electric photovoltaic engine that would combust gasoline, pump fuel, and generate electricity that would power up a battery or a giant capacitor that would drive an electric motor, and basically you'd fill up with 87 octane at the gas station and be able to go hundreds of miles and have apparently it didn't work because I don't see them all over the place, but he did have the patent on it, and he was very proud of it for a while. He built his own electric VW Bug with more lead acid batteries than the car weighed, and so I'm glad I can kind of help on pushing on with that legacy. So thanks for having me out.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for coming, and thanks for everything you do too. Yeah, if you don't have a Tesla Model S, you don't know about this, but it's been recently really bad on the early Model S's, especially, and the X, but especially the early Model S's. And if you have the large drive unit, yeah, like Jay's, it's definitely going to leak, and Brian has by far the cheapest solution, and I'm glad to hear you've been selling so many of them, and it's helping, like you say, keep these vehicles on the road. Similarly, if you're thinking about doing a conversion, there's a number of companies that offer control methods for the Tesla drive unit, and with every passing month, Teslas get cheaper and cheaper, and as they get older and older, and as battery packs go out or something, but maybe the drive unit is still good, these are going to wind up in junkyards and places, and it'll be, for the price to power it's hard to beat a Tesla drive unit for a conversion. But if it's a large drive unit, then you got to preemptively fix it so you don't ruin it with the coolant leak. Yes, Jay?
I posted it to the list a few weeks ago, but in case you didn't notice and you're curious about the large drive unit issues, Alex of Rockwork CV posted probably the most detailed video about the LDU rebuild when he did my unit in that green car. And it's on the Out of Spec Renew channel. It's Tesla LDU rebuild, and you'll find it. You'll recognize the car.
Cool. And it's got some of Brian's caps in it, probably. So hopefully at a future meeting, if you're willing to, I'd love to have a presentation on it. And also we can have, if you tell the secretary the website address, we can enter it into the meeting minutes. Because yeah, he's put out there a lot of excellent information on the website for owners of early Teslas for both the battery problems and the drive unit ones. And I know of at least 4 people that just within the last year or two, their battery packs have gone bad, including my dad's original 2012 that he's had all this time. And in a lot of the cases too, if you look like with Scan My Tesla or something, you can see the actual batteries are fine. It's like corrosion on a battery management board or something. And so it's a complete shame, but Tesla is like Apple or something, like they don't fix stuff. Like, nope, you just buy a whole, there's some problem with the pack, replace the whole thing. And yeah, it's at least 15 grand. So it's pretty bad, especially when you can buy a used old Model S now for even cheaper than that. One other sort of new face, Ruth.
Hi, my name is Ruthie. You guys may have not seen me since I was selling Girl Scout cookies at the back of your meetings, but now I'm grown and I'm going to the University of Washington. I'm there for my first year. I'm in the College of Engineering, and I'm going to be applying to my major at the end of this year for mechanical engineering. I've grown up just working with my dad on all of his different projects that I'm sure you guys hear about all the time and don't need me to repeat, but currently, I am working on my own research project at the University of Washington on a solar thermal cogeneration renewable energy system. I can talk about that more individually if you guys would like to hear about it. But I'm really excited to see what's to come, and also at the prospect of working with SIVA to try and get a younger crowd out here, tapping into the University of Washington, all of our engineering students that are everywhere. So, yeah, thank you.
Yep, years ago when I was going to the UW, I first found out about SIVA and came to it. It was a lot smaller back then, but yeah, we'd like to get more and more people, and we're hoping with the car show idea too. You know, if you know anybody who has an EV, a neighbor with an EV or something, tell them, hey, bring it out on the second Tuesday of every month now. We'll be having our car show up here. Hey, there's a nice quiet Rivian. Anyway, we have one last update on the electric drag racing thing. So the NHRA has a class for stock electric vehicles. So any of you that own an electric vehicle, as long as it was produced after, I believe, 2008, you can race it in this series. Ryan has done it the last few years. I did it a few years ago and went all the way to the finals in Boise, Idaho. The neat thing is it's bracket racing, so it doesn't matter what you drive. In fact, I've been driving with an old Leaf with 5 battery health bars just because it makes it interesting and to show that you can bring anything out. And it makes it challenging for the other racers too, because in bracket racing, the slower or the faster vehicle is handicapped so that if everything goes right, you'll cross the finish line at the same time. But you basically say, I'm going to run this time. You get a few test runs and you say, I'm going to run this time. And then whoever runs closer to that time without going faster is the winner. And there's cash prizes and other stuff. And Ryan will say the schedule for what's coming up.
What was your time in your Leaf?
My Leaf, I think, runs like 17.5 seconds.
Yeah, so I run like 10 seconds, 11 seconds. So I'm sitting there for
Yeah.
7 seconds. It's just an eternity.
Yep. He's sitting, so the lights go down and mine goes green and I'm halfway down the track before his 10-second Cybertruck even gets the green light.
Yeah. So on the 27th, April 27th, is it import day? But I think they'll let anybody run for like a test and 2 day. Yeah. And then the first points race is on May 7th. I'll maybe put these on the calendar?
Yeah, let's put them on the calendar.
And so I invited you last weekend to come out and race for the first time. Turns out it was a tech-only day to pre-technical check your vehicle for the season. So I talked to the track manager there. You can bring your conversions out and race in the open classes, like the pro, the modified classes. And our track manager happens to not mind. Other tracks kind of have their own preferences for things, so that was good.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Ryan. And yeah, we'll keep you updated on that as it goes on. And with that, that is our meeting for tonight. And remember, oh yes, Grace? One more new person. Where's our one more new person? Yes, sir.
I thought I'd escape. My name's Paul. I live in West Seattle. I've owned an EV, pure EV, since 2016. First one was a Ford Focus EV. It's kind of fun. When I bought it off a Honda dealer, and I went in there and they said, well, we want to haggle about the price. And I said, that's great. And we were going to exchange my car straight up. And they said at the last minute, well, we want to add some money onto the cost because we got to recoup everything. And I said, well, you got a Honda, it was a hybrid at that time. I said, you got a Honda hybrid out there, which will probably sell in a day. And you got a Ford Focus 2013 that's going to sit on the lot for probably another 6 months. And they had, they went away for a half hour. They come back and they go, okay, we'll just give it to you, But my wife, we owned a gas, we had 2 gas cars, and I bought this EV, and we drove it around. She said, okay, you're driving this. I'm not driving it. And I said, that's fine. That's fine. Kept it for 3 years. Oh, actually, we've had it up until about 2 years ago. But after 3 years, I said, well, she said, I've been driving it. I really like it. This is my car. You drive the CR-V. And after that, I went and traded in for a Chevy Volt. And I loved it, and still we have it. And 95% of our miles were on electric. So I've really told all my friends about it and got a bunch of conversions that way. But charging is the challenge on the open road, and that's my interest in SEVA, really, as well as conversions. I'm very interested in conversions. So, thank you.
Yeah. Bang for your buck. The Chevy Bolt is a lot of miles for not that much money now. They've come way down in price. Same with early Model 3s now. The Bolt and Model 3 I recommend as a used vehicle to a lot of people. The one drawback with the Bolt is its charging speed, indeed, because it's limited on the fast charging to something like 50 kilowatts. But you can use the NACS adapter now and use the supercharged stations as well. So if you've got the time, it does help. All right, well, thanks a lot. And it's a common occurrence when somebody gets an electric vehicle, that becomes the favorite car. All right, well, with that, we can break out into talking. And let's just remember, if you see anything on the ground, please pick it up. Let's try and leave this place a little better than we got it. And we'll plan to be back here next month on the second Tuesday of the month and do this again.